Everybody online. Hi, everybody in the room. So nice outside. If you're in Madison and it's nice and kind of a balmy 40. Woohoo! Yeah. I got a question online over the weekend. And the question was about low back stabilization. And so we're going to work on low back stabilization and core work there for the next 45 minutes. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little fundamental, so it might move a little bit slow, but then we'll add some challenging poses and see what happens. So starting, either you can sit. If you want to start sitting, you can lie back on your back and have your knees bent. So either back here on your back in constructive rest pose. You could start sitting on the floor or in a chair. Just giving yourself a couple moments to take a few breaths and transition into practice. Just giving yourself time to allow things to intentionally slow down. Gentle reminder that we each have agency and choice over what we do for the next 45 minutes. So if something doesn't feel safe or comfortable, please, no judgment, just back out and come to a shape that does feel safe, a shape that does feel supportive. And so we're going to take about 5 breaths to totally relax. You might use your connection to the ground, into the earth, to help you release and let go some tension through your muscles, your tissues, your bones. You might follow a couple breaths, letting your mind just find a little opportunity to slow down. So remembering that we can practice with curiosity and kindness. And that if we're experiencing a really busy kind of monkey mind, that's normal. And we can always come back to this sense of stability and release into the earth. And we can always come back to following the breath. So always really means always, not just for the next 45 minutes that we're doing yoga core class together, but always. So when you get done with this class practice and you go outside and you maybe go get lunch or you head to the grocery store or back to work, whatever comes next, you can always return to the feeling of the stability of the earth and the ground. And you can always return to your breath. So we're just going to pause for 3 more breaths. So we practice that relationship of grounding and breath here so we can take it into our daily lives and hopefully find grounding, finding a little more calm, a little easier. All right, so let's transition into what we might call more of an active, stabilizing, feeling tone of breathing. So we're all going to start on our back. So if you were sitting, if you're able, come onto your back. And we're going to bring your hands down onto your lower belly, so right around your navel. And we're going to feel what we consider a belly breath. So that easy, more calming breath residue down underneath your navel. You might feel it really release. You might feel it as you inhale, expand. So if we had a balloon in that area of the low belly, we could use the imagery of the balloon. Your inhale, filling up that balloon, and exhale, letting that balloon let go of air. Okay. So as we exhale, seeing here if you can start to feel your abdominal muscles here contract. And that contraction for me, which is different than maybe what you feel, but it might be similar. I feel a little bit of like a deep hug sensation when I exhale there. This happens muscularly, very naturally. You don't have to force. So try not to force and like say, pull the belly down. Just see if you can come from the feeling tone of breathing. So as you exhale, you can feel your navel draw in towards your spine. And you can feel, hopefully over time, that contraction. And it might become more intense contraction feel the longer you exhale. So can we take some of that feeling tone, that strength piece, into your inhale? So when you inhale, your abdominals eccentrically connect. They lengthen, and we want to find strength in that lengthening of the abdominals. So as you inhale, like you could use the imagery of a balloon again, you're going to slowly, with strength, fill up that balloon. And you're going to exhale with strength, let the air out of that balloon. And so the abdominal muscles stay active in both breaths, inhale and exhale. I'm going to be quiet for about 15 to 20 seconds so you can listen, feel, notice, try and understand this breathing. Right. This breathing is very important to helping us stabilize the low back. Okay. So we're going to do a little tiny sit-up. Okay. And what we want to try and accomplish in this sit-up, what we want to understand is that the low back and your pelvis, so let's define where your pelvis is and your low back are stable. Okay. We're not going to move your pelvis or your low back. So we're going to bring your hands back behind your head, elbows wide, ribs down. Now, when you feel your exhale and the abdominals contract, you're going to lift your head and shoulders up a little bit. Let your arms really support your neck. And then keep your head up. And then again, when you feel your exhale and your abdominals contract, lift a little higher. And then drop your eyes to see if you can see your belly. And then can you feel a little bit of breath there? Can you feel that strong inhale? Strong exhale. And then lower the shoulders and head. Try two more. So exhale, abdominals contract, lift. Maybe lift a wee bit higher if you want more challenge. Now, when you look down, Make sure you're nice and even, heavy through the back hips, and you're not rounding in your low back. So you still have your soft lumbar curve in your low back. Stabilize the low back, and then let the spine, let the head come back down. Exhale, abdominals contract. Upper spine, you feel the upper spine now? Find some flexion. It rounds, but your low back, so from your belly button to your pubic bone, doesn't move. Maybe you find a little more flexion and lift a little higher. Strong breathing with your abdominals. When you're ready, lower all the way down. Take a 2 or 3 breath break. Little more challenging. Knees come up over your hips. Bring your shins together and press your shins and your knees in. So you're pressing your legs together at the knees to the shins through the heels. Exhale, abdominals contract, lift up, sit up. Take an inhale. Exhale, lower back down. Fabulous. 2 more like that on your own. So challenging yourself as you come up. Challenging yourself with the breath and rolling back down. Excellent. Tailbone stays rolling out on the mat. Back of the hips stay really heavy. Great. As I look around, everyone in the room looks like they're making that connection into the lower abdominals with strength and breath. If you want more challenge, go ahead, straighten your legs up towards the ceiling and try a couple more. So everybody working on their own here, stabilizing that low back. So trying to feel a little more mobility in your upper back and more stability in your lower back. Active, strong connection into those lower abdominals through your breathing. So it is a little bit, we could probably call it like active belly breathing, because we want to keep breathing and feel the residue in the belly, but it's not relaxed breathing. 2 more. If you're tired, always take a rest when you need. Find a comfortable challenge. And then after 2, we'll lower all the way back down. And we'll just let your arms come down. And we'll take a couple breaths. So with your arms down by your side, let's just flip the palms so your palms are facing down. And you can start to bring your heels a little more in line with your sit bones. So we're going to start to roll up into a little bit of a low bridge. So again, come back to that active, strong breath. Take 2 or 3 breaths just to reconnect so you can exhale, contract. Inhale, strength through the eccentric part of the breath. Long, wide, strong breath. Exhale. And then with your next exhale, when you feel the contraction, push your navel, your belly button down and flatten your low back into the floor. Now you're moving your low back. And you're going to roll up. You're going to peel your spine up really slowly into a low bridge. And you're going to find a comfortable low bridge. Put a little more weight in your heels. And then imagine your pelvic crest could go forward out over your knees. Energetically press your knees forward out over your toes. And then refine that strength in the exhale. and the inhale of your breath. So abdominal strength as you breathe, 3 breaths. With your 3rd exhale, roll your spine back down. Feel your lower vertebrae moving with strength. Don't just let them drop. Try and really connect to strength. And then come back to good old-fashioned constructive rest pose. And then when you're ready, one more time, you're going to roll up. You're going to feel your pelvis, connect with the low back, roll up, lift the back ribs up a little bit, go for length. So trying to get those knees to feel like they're going over your toes, and then come back to the tone feeling of active breathing. Strong abdominals, 2 breaths. And then when you're ready, lowering all the way down. I'm going to take your left leg and just press your left heel into the floor and outstretch your left leg to the floor and bring your right knee up over your right hip. Take your arms behind your right thigh bone there onto your hamstring. And just bend and straighten the right leg 3 times to wake up the back of the leg. Feel the hamstrings get a little stretch. You might point and flex in your ankle. And then on your 3rd straighten, decide where you want that leg to be. Maybe you want the leg to be a little more bent. Maybe you want the leg a little straighter. And then each one of us is really different in how we hold tension in the hips. So if you have your right leg really straight or even really bent, check in with what you feel in your hip crease. And if it's really tight in that hip crease, see if you can bend your knee a little bit and just get some tension out of that hip. Okay, so you're going to keep your hands there on the back of the leg, and either it's bent or straight, you're going to push that leg forward, like your right foot or your right thigh bone could go more towards the end of your mat. And then you're going to exhale, contract your abdominals and roll up a little bit, like you're doing a sit-up. And then you might roll all the way on up. Now your low back is moving and rounding, and you can roll up a little bit or all the way. And then you're going to take your right thigh bone and push it away again and slowly connect all the way back down. When your shoulders come down, your head comes down, right leg can come down, and we switch sides. Press out through the right leg, bring the left leg up. Bend and straighten a couple times. Decide if you want your left leg to be bent or straight, and check in with your left hip creases. Push that left thigh bone. You're releasing that thigh bone out of the rib cage, getting some space in the hip flexors. Exhale, contract, and then start your little sit-up. As you roll up, can you feel, right? Upper back, middle back, lower back. We come up. As you go back down, if you're coming all the way on up, you can trace that back down. Lower back, middle back, upper back, head. And then both legs can come down to the floor. And I bet you know what's going to happen next. Both knees come up. Hold on to the back of both legs, bend and straighten 3 times. And then after 3 times here, bring both feet back down to the floor and connect back to active, strong core breath. So seeing again, if you can come back to the muscle memory of feeling the contraction with the exhale, that deep hug. And then stringing that tone and strength into your inhale. Can you feel a nice soft lumbar low back curve? Okay. Here's your challenge. Try to keep that lower lumbar curve in relationship to the weight in your back hip. So right hip, back hip, nice and heavy, lumbar curve, bringing your knees up and then extending your heels up towards the ceiling. So as you stretch your hamstrings, we want to come back and make sure we still feel the hug with the exhale. Strengthen those same muscles in the inhale and a sweet little lumbar curve. Okay. So you're stabilizing your low back. You're going to bring your hands behind your legs. And then we're going to exhale, contract, and start to peel your spine up off of the floor. Come up to your place. Everyone finds their place. And we take 3 breaths. Navel draws back with the exhale. Tone through the abdominals with your inhale. And then with your 3rd breath, either you roll all the way on up to sitting or roll all the way back down. And then we just hang out and let everything relax for 3 breaths. And then with your 3rd or 4th breath, we're going to come over onto tabletop. So we'll build your table, basically taking everything we just did on your back and reversing gravity. So we have to work a little bit harder so gravity doesn't pull everything down to the floor. So as you build your tabletop, make sure you have nice, strong hands. They're connecting into the earth with your legs and your toes. And remember, if you're at home and being on the floor is a little much, you can always do this at a table or on a chair. If this hurts your wrists, you can always make fists. You can come on your forearms. Okay, so you're going to adjust and adapt however you need to do it. And then we're going to all come back to 2 breaths to feel the feeling tone of strength in those lower abdominals. So as you breathe in, as you breathe out, tone, finding, feeling strength, stabilizing your low back. Now define your low back. So if you take your belly button to your pubic bone in the front, that might help you feel your lower back. So your lumbar vertebrae down to your tailbone. Okay, these are really big joints. They're made for stabilization. So we're going to use them to help us stabilize as we take your right leg straight back. Take your left arm out in front of you. Try to keep the back shoulders symmetrical with the back hips. And then you pick your challenge. Maybe this is enough challenge. If you want more, reach out and slowly lift your limbs up. And stretch your heel out of your fingers. And try not to sink your low back. Try not to sink the back ribs. Take 2 breaths. Strong abdominal breathing. And then bring those limbs back. We're going right over to the other side. 1 breath to stabilize the low back. Take the left leg. Straight back. Fingertips on the floor, toes on the floor for a moment. Check that the back shoulders and the back hips are symmetrical. And then start to reach and maybe float them up without dropping your low back, without dropping your ribs, and stretch. You got it. Excellent. And then bring everything back down. Either knees together or knees wide. Sit back into a child's pose. or roll over or come up to sitting. We're going to take a 3-breath break. And you can choose, maybe you want more of that active abdominal connected breathing. Maybe you want that good old relaxed, let the belly go breathing. And then with an exhale, coming back to your tabletop, giving yourself a moment to re-stabilize, ground, find strength. We didn't say it earlier, try to let your shoulders draw down out of your ears. So it's really easy to hike the shoulders up and drop the chest. So shoulders down, chest up, long, strong spine. And then with your exhale, when you feel that deep hug, that contraction, go up to downward facing dog. So again, you can do your down dog on the floor, a chair, a table, and push your shoulders back away from your wrists and bend your knees. Now in this shape, can you come back to feel a couple strong, active breaths through your lower abdominals? And exhale, come back down to tabletop and sit back. And find a comfortable seated shape for just a couple breaths. All right, so in your comfortable seated shape, we're going to come back to that tone and strength of the breath down in the lower abdominals again. So sitting however you want. When you exhale, can you feel that deep hug, contraction? And then thread that strength into your inhale. So maybe the visualization of like a balloon slowly inflating with strength. Exhale, it slowly releases with air. One more breath. So we're going to keep breathing and do a series of twists. So rib cage to shoulders, okay? Define that area. Then define your low back. So navel to pubic bone, okay, is low back and pelvis. Low back and pelvis are going to stay really stable. We don't want them to move a whole lot. Rib cage, this middle thoracic spine, we're going to do thoracic rotation. You're going to rotate your rib cage around to the right and then check in. Try and stabilize your low back. Then take that thoracic rotation all the way around to the left. Stabilize, check in. Are you still stabilizing your low back? One more time, all the way around to the right. Thoracic rotation. Low back stability. One more time, all the way over to the left. And then come back to center. Sweet, downward facing dog. Take 2 or 3 breaths in your down dog. Build your down dog so it's comfortable for you. And then exhale. We have to figure out how to come on up to standing. So we're going to make our way all the way on up to standing. Sweet. Step your feet wide. Heels in, toes out. So let's switch gears a little bit and just go up and down in your sumo. You can go slow with lots of internal resistance. You could go a little bit faster. You can go down and come up and lift your heels. You can keep your heels up. You can add your arms. So we're going to do sumo for about 30 more seconds just to get the heart rate up a little bit. Go at your own pace. Make it as challenging as you want. So maybe you stay down for a little bit and just work with the arms. Great. 2 more breaths. And then we come all the way on up and check in on your breathing. So my breath is really fast. Can I still feel it in my belly? What's your breath like? Are you still breathing? Can you feel that tone of the belly in relationship to your breathing? Great, 2 more breaths. And I'm going to step to the front of your mat. Find that standing mountain. Exhale, sweep your arms out to come up. Lift with strength, pause. Root through the legs, lift up through the back ribs. Now, when you bend your knees to fold forward, fold with strength. See if you can really stabilize through that low back. We did that rounding kind of sit-up work so we could feel strength the whole length of the spine as we reach forward and come over. Inhale, shoulders lift, hands are going to come to your thigh bones. See here in your own understanding, can you rebuild like a standing tabletop? Stabilize that low back. Find that strong, active breath. With an exhale, fold and put your finger pads down on the floor and step your left foot all the way back. Lowering your left knee. Okay, active, strong, low abdominal breathing. Okay, so we're going to twist again. We did this one a couple weeks ago. Today, we're going to really pay attention to stabilizing that low back. So find your low belly to your pubic bone. Find your low back. Try not to move the low back. Your right arm swings out. You're going to rotate the thoracic spine. And then come back down to the floor. Just 2 more. So if you want more challenge, lift your back left leg. If you want less challenge, keep your knee down. Stabilize. Try not to move the low back. Move the thoracic spine. Move the rib cage. Excellent. Right hand comes back down. Notice your experience before you do anything else. Pause. And then figure out you're going to step your back foot forward. You're going to plant your feet and exhale. Come all the way on up. Do a full body stretch. Lift up through the back ribs. Bend your knees. And with strength, fold forward. Stabilize strong through the low back. Have to round a little bit with strength and come over. Lift the chest. Rebuild that standing table feel. Navel to spine. Strengthen the inhale, shoulders down out of your ears. Awesome. Fold and step your right foot all the way back. Right knee comes down. Define your low back. Stabilize the low back. You're going to rotate that thoracic rib cage area. 3 little twists. Actually, these feel like pretty big twists, don't they? Woo! So can you, in your own understanding, kind of divide your back? That low back is going to be stable with the pelvis. And your upper thoracic between your shoulder blades is moving. Then bring both finger pads down. Pause. Step your right foot up. Ground down, exhale. Come all the way on up. Right away, exhale, long spine, fold forward. Lift your chest. Exhale, fold. Okay, new challenge. Step your left foot all the way back. Finger pads on the floor or elbows to the knee. Remember, find the place, right? That's your challenge. So you could stay right here. You can bring your left knee down, or you can take your right hand by your right thigh bone and twist to the right. Left hand can come on the outside of the right thigh bone and you push your right thigh bone into your hand, and then make sure you're stabilizing that low back. Find that strong active breath. You got it, you got it, you got it. And then come all the way back around. It's going to feel really good when your finger pads hit in downward facing dog. Whew, take a couple breaths. New challenge, either tabletop, floating table, or your straight arm plank. So you pick one of those challenging places. Challenge yourself for 2 breaths. If plank is really easy, maybe you do floating table. If plank is really easy, maybe you do a couple push-ups. Good. Back to downward facing dog. Break. Do what you need to do. We're going to exhale. Walk your hands and feet together. Exhale. We got to come all the way back up. Right away, fold forward. Nice, long, and strong. Build your little standing table. Feel that strength from the shoulders down through the core into the hips and fold. Right leg steps back. So maybe you recognize when you bring your elbows up to your knee here that you're building like a plank or a tabletop. Left hand can come by that left shin. Right? Stabilize. Find your low back. Find your low belly. Stabilize and twist. Your right hand comes to the outside of your left thigh bone. Maybe you're actively twisting or holding. What works for you doesn't mean it works for me. So do your thing. Understanding that you want to stabilize that low back. You don't want a lot of movement here. You don't want a lot of movement in the back hips. And then we bring both fingertips down. Whew. Downward facing dog. To table, floating table, plank, child's pose, sitting. Pick a place. Hang out in that place. Maybe that place doesn't feel super comfortable. It's okay if you feel you're in a safe place to kind of explore something that doesn't feel super comfortable. That's okay. If you're in plank, I'll challenge you to bring your ears as high as your shoulders. There you go. 2 breaths. Sweet. And then we're going to exhale and come all the way back onto your back. So exhale, come out of whatever shape you were just in and roll onto your back. Come all the way back to how we started. Remember that shape, constructive rest pose. And just relax. You can refine that nice, restorative, relaxed belly breathing now. You can come back and just feel the sigh of relief, letting the ground hold you up. And we'll take 2 nice, relaxed belly breaths. And then bringing your heels in line with your sit bones. Okay. Give yourself maybe 3 breaths to come back to that connection of active belly breathing. So we'll call it that. So when you exhale, you feel the contraction, you feel the hug. And when you inhale, you're threading that strength into the inhale. So there's a lot more tone in the deep muscles of the abdominals when we have this active breath. Arms can come down by your side. And we're going to push into the heels and roll up to that bridge. I'm going to see if we can lengthen through the spine again. Open, stretch out the front of the hips. Active, strong abdominal breathing, 3 breaths. Exhale, lower down. Take 1 free breath. And then with the next exhale, when you feel that deep hug of contraction, back to bridge. Hold for 3 breaths. Maybe press a little more into your heels to really get into the hamstrings and lower down. If you'd like more challenge, walk your heels out away from your butt a little bit. Press into the back of the arms, into the heels, bridge. 3 breaths. Lower down after 3, take 1 free breath. Exhale, 1 more bridge. Press into the heels. If you want more challenge on this bridge, maybe try to get your pelvis almost as high as your knees. So pressing up, but still going long, 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 longs. And then maybe the deepest challenge is to release tension in the jaw and the face and your bridge. Can you hold this more from your hamstrings and your glutes and less from your chest? And then when you're ready, so you might not be ready, you might want to hold your bridge longer, but if you're ready, of course, lower down. And then just hang out, experience, notice what you're feeling after your bridge. And come back to your body breathing. You can let go. You can go back to that nice restorative belly breath. Let's take 2 nice, full restorative belly breaths. Great. And then let's just do a little good old-fashioned stretching. Let's outstretch your left leg. And while you're on your back here, bring your right knee all the way up into your chest. You can move your leg around a little bit in the socket if you want, doing a little bit of like leg circling. If you have a hip replacement, of course, please be really mindful, maybe skip this one. You can grab your right knee with your left hand and pull your right knee towards your left hip and get some stretch through the back. So you can lift your hip up, outstretch and work in the side of the hip and the leg if you want. You can switch sides when you want. So it's kind of moving the legs around in the sockets. Almost like you're flossing your leg around in that ball and socket. So you're flossing the ball around in the socket. And then as we start to cool down here, more, probably start to feel a little more relaxed. We can outstretch the legs and take the arms up to the ceiling. Anchor into the back ribs. So don't let your back ribs pop up. That's going to be really your grounding here as you stretch your arms overhead to do a full body stretch. So your arms probably won't touch the floor as they go overhead, but your ribs are sinking down and you can stretch through the front of the shoulders, through the front of the hips a little bit. And then the arms can come up when you're ready and come down by your sides. And then we always take the last couple minutes to rest and practice self-care. So If you're feeling, ooh, you need a little more calm, a little more rest, you might follow your exhale. Encourage the exhale to be a little longer. When you check in, if you feel you need a little more energy, a little more spunk, you might follow your inhale, taking a few longer inhales. And if you're looking, seeking a little more balance, then finding, feeling that equal inhale, equal exhale. So you could breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 4. Breathe in for 6, breathe out for 6. If you need more energy, breathe in for 6 and out for 4. More grounding, breathe in for 4 and out for 6. And then coming back to your experience, noticing whatever it is you're noticing, and then letting it go. Let's just take the time to feel one more full inhale and one more full exhale. And then either maybe drawing your knees into your chest or taking another full body stretch. So moving here in relationship to your breathing. And then we'll slowly roll all the way on over and come on up to sitting. Woohoo! Just like that. Thanks everybody online. Thanks everybody in the room for showing up, being part of our community. High fives. Thank you, and I'll see you on Friday.